Hi, I'm Bart Hanson, the owner and operator of CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record at 4:45 p.m. Pacific Time every Monday. If you want to call in your hand, check out the phone number in the description.
I'm playing in a 2-5 game, and I'll just give I'm in the straddle, in under the gun for $10 in a
Okay.
2-5 game.
Okay.
So UTG +1, he limps, and this is the main villain. I'll give you a little description about him. He's like an old man who plays pretty straightforward, but I've had history with him. I've been playing with him for like around 5 hours at this
Okay.
time, and so a lot of the times when I see bet like majority of my hands on the flop, but I check the turn a lot when I'm bluffing. So a lot of the times when I check on the turn, he bets. So this has to play a big role into this hand. But so early position, he's under the gun +1. He limps. Cutoff also limps, $10. Button limps, small blind and big blind limps. So that's 6 limpers, and it's back on me. And I have ace king, ace of clubs, and the king of hearts in the straddle. So I raise it to 135, and I want to ask you about the sizing. Like, how do you think it's like too big?
Well, how deep are you guys?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I have around like 1,500.
Okay.
And the main villain early position has 1.3K, 1,300.
I mean, I play a lot of 5-10, right? So this is like this is
Yeah.
basically like a 5-10 hand. I would say that if I'm in your spot, let's say I was in the big blind,
Right.
and 1, 2, 3, 4 people limped, and maybe the
Uh-huh.
small blind came in and I had ace king, I would
Right.
probably make it like 75 or 80.
Uh-huh.
Um, so like maybe 8x. I think that gets value.
Yeah,
It
right, right.
cuts some of the field out. 135 is pretty big. I mean, you fair to
Yeah.
take it down a lot, but
Right.
you are out
So
of position, and
hmm
I
so the
would just
reason
say that
why
I
I
would
made
just
it
usually make it 80, 75 or
yeah,
80.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason why made it this big is because like I know early position he limps a lot with like even his strong hands.
hmm
And also I noticed like he defends like extremely wide when he limps. Like
Okay.
every time I raise it to he limps like $5 and I raise it to like 45 plus, he always like calls most of the time.
So you
So
were
that's
just
why
trying
also
to,
that's
you thought that you could get the most value because you thought he was going to
right, right.
call 135. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So after I raise it to 135, early position he calls,
Okay.
and I also I think the cutoff also calls.
Okay.
Yeah. So heading on to the flop. The flop is ace of hearts, 7 of diamonds, and 2 of clubs. So rainbow.
hmm
Um. So early position. So I bet out for 275. Early position calls, and late position folds.
So you bet 275 into a pot of about 400.
Mhm.
The board's ace 7 deuce rainbow, total rainbow, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I might bet. I think that sizing is probably a little bit large. You guys have
Right.
about a
Because I have it
thousand.
locked down. Yeah.
Yeah, the pot. I mean, you
So.
have 1,000 left in your stack, and the pot's
Mhm.
400. I think you could easily
Yeah.
bet. If you bet even only just 200 or even less, even if you went 150 and he
Mhm.
called, the pot would be 700. Now you'd have about a pot size bet left. So I think you can
Right.
bet
So.
pretty small here.
So the reason why I did choose the sizing is because like my image on the table at that time was like I was pretty much crushing the table, and I was like perceived as super aggressive. So and the early position, who's like directly right on my left, who calls me, he must have like a marginal holding at least like I would give him like in a range of like tens plus.
Okay.
So I feel like on that flop he might peel me at least once, even if he had like paired tens to like kings, he might peel me at least once.
Hey,
So
well,
I chose that size.
I mean, the other flip side to it too is that if you have that
Mhm.
image and you make that sizing, it will sometimes throw things. I mean, I don't know if I can necessarily people at 2-5 are thinking about this, but you
Mhm.
can sometimes do this at the higher level games. Make a bet size that doesn't make any sense, and people
Right.
will float you like I bet
Yeah.
300 here because they're like, well, what
Yeah.
could you possibly have here? And
Right.
it kind of turns things around. But all right,
Mhm.
so 275 and he calls. I mean, and I assume the cutoff folds. I mean, my reaction then
Yeah.
if that's the case now, and the pot is going to be 850, and you
Mhm.
have like maybe what
A
900
thousand.
left,
No,
1,000
I have
left,
like 1,100, I think.
1,100 left.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably see. Uh, I mean, it really depends on what you want to accomplish on the turn. If you want to feign weakness, you can
Oh
check.
wait,
If you
sorry. It was 1,100. Yeah. On the after the flop, it was 1,100
okay,
left.
okay.
Yeah.
So the cutoff folds, and what's the turn?
The turn is a nine of diamonds, so it brings back a backdoor diamond draw.
Okay.
So this is a spot where I really thought I played really bad, but so I decided to check
Hmm.
this based on what I told you earlier about me always when I'm bluffing, where I c bet a lot of the times
Yeah,
when I have when the
I don't
yeah
think
when the
that's
range hits my when the flop hits my range a lot of the times I always c bet with the ace
right.
and then I check the turn. That's what I did here.
I don't think that that's that bad. I mean, I think that because your sizing is so big on the flop,
Mhm.
if you want to make it look like you were taking a bluffing line, it's not that
Right.
bad. I was just trying to figure out how much money there was left over. And I wonder too, is it like, will this guy always bet an ace? Because it sucks if he checks back an ace. I mean,
Mhm.
the other thing though too is that I would like this a little bit better if you closed the action on the flop or if you were heads up. Because the
Mhm.
cutoff is in the hand, he
Right.
can't really. I mean, let's say he limped with jacks or limped with
Right.
tens.
Right.
When he's got a guy behind him, is he really going to call your bet in between there on the flop? Now,
Yeah,
if he was
yeah.
heads up or if he was
Mhm.
closing the action, it would be different. But
Right.
here, it
That makes
feels
a
like
lot of
he
sense.
has to be a little bit stronger.
Mhm.
So for that reason, I could go either way with it. Like I said, if he was closing the action or you were heads up, I probably would like a check
Mhm.
because I think he could be wide on the flop.
Mhm.
Or he might be making a play to take it away, although it's pretty rare at 2-5. But
Right.
if it's in the middle, um, you might just bet. I mean, if you have a pot size bet left in your stack, you could just bet like 300 here on the
Mhm.
turn. 300 into a pot of like what is like almost 1,000, and then the pot will be like 1,600, and you'll have like 600 left. Or you could bet like 350 to 400 too. You could bet
Mhm.
a very small portion of the pot here and get all the money in. You could go probably 30%, 30%, and I think that would be you'd be all in if I'm doing the math
Right.
correctly. But so you check what happens.
So I checked, and then he just like he thinks about it for like pretty briefly, like around 10 seconds, and he bets in 700 with only 200 behind. So he's basically already committed to the pot.
Well, you just have to check raise all in now. I mean, you weren't going to ever get away from the hand if you flopped a set of sevens or deuces, but he could just
Right. So this is where yeah. So this is where I was thinking to myself, like based on his description and my history with him, and
yeah.
I've never seen him bet big with bluffs. I've never seen that. So I'm thinking like, is he I just thought like to myself like he has to have like a set of sevens. Like I took out away the two pairs, obviously ace seven and ace deuce suited. No matter how much he defends, I don't think he's gonna have those.
Hmm.
So it was only a possibility of a set of sevens, and I really put him on a set of sevens.
I
So I was
mean,
just yeah.
if you that you have to have some crazy read to be able to just check fold there on the turn. And again, it's like people will say, well, see, here's the thing. People will say, well, if you're just check folding the turn, then your flop play was bad because the how are you check folding turn if you bet? But I wouldn't necessarily agree with that because you're actually getting a ton of information here by sizing on the turn. So what you're saying basically is
Mhm.
that because he bet 700 on the turn, you know that he has a very, very specific hand range that's better than one pair.
Right. I didn't think yeah, exactly. I did not put him on like just one pair that he would
Right.
commit that much of his stacking with one pair.
Could he have like ace
So
nine suited too? Something like that?
I don't think he could have that.
Why? Because he wouldn't call preflop?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think he would call like that big of a raise.
So what do you think that he's called? But you think he's defending with pairs though for
Yeah,
135?
I do think he's defending with pairs. Yeah.
And you don't think that he would make this bet with ace queen or like ace jack for
Yeah.
700?
Yeah, that is possible too. But
I mean, listen, if you think he makes this bet with ace queen, then like I can't see how you can fold because
oh no, no, sorry. He does no, he doesn't do this with ace queen. it's only ace king. I'm either calling to chop or I'm
Mm.
losing.
Well, I mean, listen, like I said, you have to really, really
Mhm.
know your player to make a check fold like this. I mean, I have made
Yeah.
absurdly exploitable folds like this
Right.
in certain situations. But I don't know, it sort of sounds like to me though, from what you were saying your image was, it would be really difficult for me to fold here because you keep
Uh
saying that
huh.
like you've been playing where you've been c betting boards that are hitting you and then checking the turn, and
Right.
that's so, and you've just done the same thing here, so
Mhm.
it'd be really difficult to have a laggy image and fold. But I don't know. Did you end up folding?
Yeah, I did end up folding it. I was getting around like 1 to 2.6. I
Mm-hmm.
1 to 2.6, so it's like around like I just needed like around 27% to be right to break even. But I just found the fold over here, and I asked him actually if he would show me his hand if I folded, and he said no.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up folding, and then a few hands later, he did tell me that he had ace king
Mm-hmm.
also. So I was just wondering like what percentage of the time would you call off the turn?
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean,
Hmm.
it's tough for me to answer because this is
Right.
not a standard. I mean, you have to like really know your player to make that check full. I mean, my initial reaction is you're
Hmm.
just going to get it all in because, at a
Right.
baseline or whatever, like you're not folding. Once you make that bet on the flop and then check the turn, you're just always going with it. But um, you
I
know,
just felt like my bad play was checking the turn because if I continued leading the turn, then I feel like I could have found the fold. I mean, I could have probably called. I would have called him if I led the turn with around like 2/3 size pot bet. I would have to call it off much easier, but because he bet such a big size, I just found the fold.
I don't know, man. I think that's not really. I would look at it the other way around. If you bet the turn and the guy jams on you, that's a lot
Hmm.
stronger than you just checking and him betting. Don't you think? If you bet 350 and he jams on you for 1100, that looks stronger than checking and then having him bet. I
Yeah,
think that.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, anyways, thanks for the call. Take it easy.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Hey guys, if you like what you've seen here, please click on the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time we put up a new video. And if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com for the first month free, use the code YTA100. Click on the link right there.